people actually don't really pay attention to this fully. Maybe you're hearing it, you're reading it, and you're like, yeah, that's great, but you really don't understand where these red dyes can hide, and that you actually might be one of those people that is consuming them or giving them to your children.
I appreciate everybody's comments on the no sound. Thank you for that. You guys should be able to hear us now loud and clear.
What happened?
Your intro was totally muted.
Oh.
What?
Wow.
Bummer.
Okay, let's start all over.
Just make it quick.
Thank you for joining us today, guys. Okay, so what if we told you that something that you may be consuming every day has been linked to health concerns, including potential carcinogenic effects, hyperactivity in children, allergic reactions, and possibly cancer?
Oh, God.
Pretty scary. So today we're going to talk all about it, and it's red dye. And it is a current event for us in the U.S. right now. And that's what really brought us to want to talk about this, because our daughter had to do a current events article that we worked on, a current events paper over the weekend. And she chose to do an article on red dye. And it really made me think, like, I know my kids are very, like, they understand red dye, and it's because of us. But I think about how many people, they hear about the red dye and they think they may be avoiding it, but you also don't really know where it hides.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
So we want to go into the detail. Okay, so what is red dye? So we're going to start, right? Red dye refers to any coloring agent, either natural or synthetic, used to impart a red hue to foods, cosmetics, textiles, or other products. The term can encompass a wide variety of substances categorized in two main types. So we have our natural and our synthetic. So our natural red dyes, the ones we want, are typically come from beetroot extract or annatto. Yeah. There was another one that said carmine, which is made from an insect, actually, that's been used for centuries. But the beetroot extract, we know it's a plant-based dye used in foods and beverages. We know it comes from the beetroot. We use that in our super reds. I have these up here because they're red. Our super reds and our E3. Yeah. And then annatto is extracted from the seeds of the, you know how to say it? Achiote tree that produces a reddish orange color. Annatto extract is in our children's gummy multivitamins. So then we have the synthetic dyes, which is really what we're honing into today. And it's specifically our red 40 and red 3. Those are the ones that are really in the hot seat. Those are the ones that are known to cause the most adverse side effects. So red 40, red 3. All right. Anything to add to that?
Just that, if we're talking about red dyes, we're really talking about being aware of, like, unnatural substances that are in our food and water, food, of course, supplement, and prescription drug supply too. Yeah. Really, I mean, what do you think gives that amoxicillin capsule its color, or or its the Tylenol suspension or whatever?
Right. So before we go into everything about where we could actually find these dyes lurking, we'll talk about the negative side effects, so you can really understand why these are big health concerns. Red 40, allergic reactions, skin rashes, hives, swelling, particularly for those sensitive to dyes. Okay, some people don't have that sensitivity. Hyperactivity in children, and I hate this so much because if I got $1 for the amount of times I had an email asking of, like, what can I do for my child? He has ADHD, or he's hyperactive all the time. And then I think about what our kids eat and what they go to school and eat. And sorry if you're a teacher, and if you are, hopefully you don't do this, but, like, you give out Skittles for rewards. And then you wonder why your children are bouncing off the walls, misbehaving. That's red dye. All those candies, all those gummies, unless you're buying the organic, non-toxic ones, I mean, you're giving these children red dye and then questioning why on earth that they have hyperactivity or ADHD, or the juices that they drink. I mean, you go through the kids' lunch line at school, and gosh, it just really infuriates me, because we personally, as adults, can make better choices. We're smarter. We have more self-control, more awareness, but our kids don't, right? They have shiny object syndrome. They are in a lunch line and they see some candy over there. They're going to get the candy, or they're going to get the red juice or the red Jell-O, right? So hard for me to think about this with children. Okay, so beyond hyperactivity in children, behavioral issues, just across the board, mood swings, irritability, headaches. I mean, we all get that. Have you ever wondered, like, it may be coming from something you're eating with dyes in it? The potential carcinogenic concerns. So animal studies suggest that links to tumors. Studies are not conclusive for humans, but we're also going to go into maybe when we go into like policies and stuff, we'll talk about why. And then gastrointestinal distress. So some people may get upset stomach, diarrhea, nausea. And I feel like these are symptoms that many of us have. So it can be so confusing if you're just putting something into your body that you shouldn't be every day. Or even
Did you mention the carcinogenic thyroid medullary?
No, because that was a big one for red 3.
Oh, red 3. Oh, okay.
So, but let's go. Okay, then there's red 3. We don't see this as much as red 40, but red 3 has been subject to stricter regulations in some countries due to these concerns. Thyroid tumors in animal studies.
Inconclusive, though. They don't have conclusive data on that.
Right.
That's part of the issue, too. Mm-hmm. It just hasn't really been looked at in the last decade or so, whatever.
Right.
However long it's been.
High doses have been linked to thyroid tumors in lab animals, leading to partial bans in some regions. I mean,
right.
Partial?
Right.
It's tough. Same thing, hyperactivity and behavioral concerns, same thing as red 40. Photosensitivity. So some individuals may experience sensitivity to sunlight. Mm-hmm. Again, allergic reactions. So the FDA has approved these dyes for limited use. But if you know that something has this potential side effect, like why even limit it? Or if the government's not limiting it, why do you want to limit it? Why do you want to just take a little bit of it? That's, it's crazy. The European Union does have regulations that are much stricter. And if a red dye is used, it requires a very strict warning label. So I would think if you're going to buy something, say, it gave an example about the maraschino cherries, right? Mm-hmm. They're in the red. It gave an example of that, and I don't know this, but in the European Union, they're still allowed to use red dye in there, but has a smack dab label on it. Now, if you're going to go buy something and then you see a warning label about consuming something,
yeah,
I would definitely think twice about putting that on my body, right?
Yeah, and I think the states are starting to do that, right? I mean, we see that on a state level now.
Yeah, let's talk about the bans and stuff. Let's talk about the states.
Yeah, some of the states have had to move ahead faster than the FDA. The FDA has been dragging their feet, and the FDA commissioner, and of course, guys, we're talking about America, but again, this is just something, an awareness issue for the world, right? Because it's pervasive everywhere, really, in a lot of ways. But he just simply admitted the fact that the FDA just hasn't had the time or resources or money to allocate to studying and to really kind of identifying these red dyes or any like titanium dioxide or any of these other food additives that are commonly used in our food supply and supplements and of course medication. So it's becoming more of an issue now, and I'm glad it finally is. Many of us have known this for years. We've known it. A lot of you guys joining today have known this, right? And so it's time. In some states like New York and California and Illinois and there's more than those, but they've already banned a lot of these. They've banned titanium dioxide and red dye from some of the foods. But I wanted to read you something from the FDA real quick. So it said the FDA states that these artificial colors in your vitamins are added to offset color loss due to exposure to light, air, temperature extremes, moisture, and storage conditions. So they also to correct natural variations in color, enhance colors that occur naturally, provide color to colorless and fun foods.
Fun food.
Right. I don't know about you guys, but do you really care if the color is worn off or doesn't look as vibrant or bright?
Right. But this is the problem. So this came also from the article that we're reading with our daughter. We don't care, right? But children care.
Right.
They love that bright, vibrant color of foods. And in this article, talked about Fruit Loops specifically. And Fruit Loops had pulled, I don't remember when they said they did it, but they pulled red dye. Or the dyes from their cereal, and their sales went down. So they went and added the dyes back.
It's crazy.
I mean, it'll blow your mind, that why these dyes are actually in things and makes me crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The FDA actually banned the use of red dye 3 and in cosmetics and topical drugs in 1990. After studies showed the risk of a thyroid tumor. So red 3 is banned in cosmetics and topical drugs in the US,
right?
But not in our food.
Yeah, and that's something, so you can ingest it.
And we all know, what we put on our body, in our body, it all does the same. I mean, whoo. Crazy stuff. Yeah, so it says still permitted in food, beverages, and oral medications.
Yeah, look at it's like James says, red dye 40 is in cough drops, Doritos, Cheetos, Fruity Pebbles, Skittles. Guys, exactly. I mean, you'll be shocked. They're in vitamins. The Centrum Multi, but we actually have it. I'll
this
show
right here,
you.
guys. Centrum. Which one is this? I don't know which ones of Centrum have the dyes in them. Centrum Women. Okay, this is the one I have here specifically. Has red dye 40 in it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So you're taking something to better your health, but yet you're poisoning yourself in the process. So why is it in here? So it looks pretty in pink, right?
Pink.
I mean, do we need that? No. And it also said that it's added, that they typically add it to vitamins specifically because some of the ingredients in multivitamins can actually change color. And I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you with our multivitamins. I do get the question often, but yes, there are ingredients in them that change color, the botanicals, the iron.
Right.
So while it might look scary, I mean, I get the question often, like, is that mold? No, it's just the natural process. I mean, but you don't want us to add this pretty red coloring so the whole thing looks nice and pretty and pink, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm watching a lot of your comments. That's why I'm looking down at the computer. I can see it's in pudding and cake mix, right? It's like in confectionery. It's like you can hardly even... I'm telling you, it's wild. Everybody knows this, though.
Yeah.
And that's an answer right here from Sabian. I love this, right? This is the key. You got to do it. You have to be on all organic foods when possible.
Yep. And also, this is a tough one, too, because, when I say it's in medications, specifically the cough syrups and the liquid Tylenols, like our children, our poor babies that can't swallow. Clearly,
Exactly.
I mean, you can't swallow a pill until you get a little older.
Right.
We're forced to, if they're running a high fever,
Well, now they have
or if they're
dye-free.
they do have dye-free. So that's what I was going to get to. If you go to the pharmacy, make sure you find it. It's clear. Okay. It'll say it. It's kind of, it's always right next to it. It's in a little bit of a different label. Tylenol still makes one. They still make the ibuprofen. It says dye-free, so it's clear. So I'm sorry if your kid loves to only take their Tylenol because it's pretty in red. You're just poisoning their bodies. It's so horrible. And then also cough syrup. I mean, there's not a pill that we can swallow if we have like this horrible, debilitating cough. It's in liquid form. So you've got to find the dye-free. You've got to do it. The options are there. And if the options aren't there, guys, avoidance, pure avoidance. And then I talk about, we have the children's gummy multivitamin. And one of the biggest reasons why we really wanted to bring this to the table was because of the toxins that are actually put in our children's, because they're typically chewable or gummy. Your Flintstones, guys, I grew up on Flintstones. Like, it's horrible. Right. My parents they didn't know any better then. We know better now. If we know better, we have to do better. It's like the biggest thing.
Here's a good comment too from Mendante. Is that you got to read everything. You got to read your labels. That is it. Number one, first and foremost. Even if you don't understand it, just start reading them. It'll start to make sense over time.
I mean, marshmallows have dye in it, and they're white. I don't know. That always just blew my mind when I read that. I don't remember what dye it is, but it's in there. That. It's just one of those things. Just read, like she said, you have to read your labels because the red dye is in there. It's sneaky. I feel like it always will say red dye. Okay, this says how to identify. Obviously, check your ingredient list. Maybe listed as red 40, Allura Red AC, which kind of is confusing, right? Because it has red in there, but it doesn't have the number, so maybe we don't think it's a dye. FD&C red number 40. So that's typically
how you'll see it usually.
It'll look.
Yeah.
So, again, this was just wanting to open up. I mean, if you don't know about it, or if you know, I guess we all know about it, but if you don't know where it's lurking, and that's the craziest thing, is how many times it's in supplements. And again, why I pulled our red stuff out is because sports drinks. It's very, very common additive in sports drinks, which is, our E3 is a great sports drink. Also, those already pre-made ones, right, that you buy. I mean, read everything. Your Gatorade. Right, it's in Gatorade, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Gatorade, I mean, that has been advertised for years.
Well, when it first came out, it was actually a pretty clean beverage.
Okay, so it's
no, they've changed the formula many, many times. Some really way more sugars, way more additives, way more colors. Oh yeah.
So you have a sweaty event, or you just finished an athletic game or something, and you want to quench your thirst, and there's that Gatorade. No, no, you're just putting the poisons in you. So, I mean, again, these options are available, and we will continue to bring you guys the dye-free options. I mean, you know that we're never going to use them, but we wanted to, open
Yeah, and
it up.
another comment here was like, more and more brands. I think Pink was saying more and more brands are dye-free now. They're advertising it. Yeah, that's great. I'm happy to see that. That just shows you how you have to stand out now to be healthy. It's to say we're dye-free, which is crazy.
Yep. But so
We want to see more of that for sure.
I
All brands.
feel like another sad truth is, say you have you're on in your cereal aisle that you buy your kids. They want, again, the kids all want the color stuff, and you might have two options, right? You're one with the dyes and one without the dyes. The one without the dyes is typically going to cost more,
Right.
So
Sure.
it's like, that's not fair, right? So you just, you added some beetroot or some turmeric to color or just yellowish stuff, and then we have to pay more for it. So it's a challenge to be a financial challenge to be healthy, which is, another reason why we are Live Good.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to basically cover it.
Yeah.
I think
We wanted
for
to
the
keep
most
it
part,
short, sweet, enlightening,
and current to what's
and
going
current.
on, something that's happening.
So yeah, make sure you read your labels. Every label. It's sneaky. It's in there. Someone just said, yes, they're very sneaky with the new dye names. Yeah, there are other things.
There are
I'm
other
sure.
ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And brands that don't follow the labeling guidance, they'll just sometimes omit. They'll leave things out. It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Have to be choosy. And if there's a word on the ingredient list that you don't understand, just Google it real quick. See if maybe potentially that's hidden in there as a dye.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, guys.
All right, you guys all rock.
Thanks for joining us.
Have fun.
Hopefully next week we will be talking about a launch of a new
product. Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
So excited for
Stay
that.
tuned.
And we see you before the holidays, right? So again, stay stress-free. Enjoy the week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.
Bye.